Hello everyone, welcome back to OC Recovery's YouTube channel. I did a post in the Facebook group a couple days ago that I've been sharing in the WhatsApp groups, and I titled that post 10 reasons why you might still be stuck. These are things I notice with myself, things I notice in the community, things I see explained improperly on different social media accounts, on YouTube accounts, and it's understandable why it's seen this way, but a lot of this stuff is actually a little bit wishy-washy and keeps us stuck. Before I go any further, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. Sharing videos like this is super important. It gets one of the number one goals for myself is to help spread OCD awareness because it's not the easiest disorder to understand. And because with the internet, there's so many false hopes, false advertising, things that get us stuck because not too many people understand how the disorder works in the very small creases of the crack, some of the surface level stuff. But this is the stuff I'm going to cover today, these 10 points. Maybe you relate to. If you hear a point, pause it, hit in that comment section. Hey, number 4, Nick, I agree with it. I don't agree with it. I think this works for me and stuff like that. I'm always down to have a discussion. So let's jump right into the video with point number 1. You're deathly afraid of your medication side effects. Medication side effect questions, in my opinion, is in the top 2, if not number 1, Reassurance asked questions in the Facebook group and in the OCD/anxiety-based community. You know, I always tell people medications affect people differently. The side effects, how long it takes, the withdrawal symptoms, this is all based around uncertainty. We have no idea, just like recovery. We don't know how long it's going to take to recover. Some people might take a year. Someone else might take 3.5 years. That might be triggering to hear, but the best thing to do, as always, is talk to the prescribing physician, whether it's a doctor or a nurse practitioner, or whoever's prescribing it to you where you live, and just allow yourself to feel that uncertainty, move with the discomfort of not knowing, and whatever side effects come along, realize that you can handle those too. But switching medications every 2 to 3 weeks is usually a huge compulsive behavior for anxiety sufferers. Number 2, you're trying too hard to sleep. Sleep is odd. There's a lot of websites, a lot of health websites out there that talk about how perfect we need our sleep environment. Well, let's go back. Let's go back thousands of years. Until recently, in the turn of the century, most people did not have optimal or good sleeping environments. If we went back and we went and had a time machine and went back in time and talked to people, they would more than likely think, I have no idea what the shit you're talking about. I sleep on a dirt floor. Doesn't bother me. Yeah, they might be tired. We are so obsessed with perfection in this society, OCD or not, that it's actually unhealthy. The amount of people I know that wear these big blue light blocking glasses at night, they're too obsessed with sleep. Use your laptop until you go to sleep. Maybe you're a little bit tired the next day. I slept 5 hours a day for years, and I really didn't notice anything. People might say, well, that's you. No. The heightened fear that you have around sleep is more than likely the driving factor around the problem with sleep. I'll say that again. The fear of not sleeping and the consequences is the driving catalyst of those heightened sensations the following days than actually not sleeping. Okay? Humans have not slept well and slept in odd conditions for the vast majority of human existence. And I mean 99%. Number 3, you're not going back to work. I have to be pretty blunt here. You don't need time off work. More than likely, the vast majority of people do not need time off work. It's a very slippery slope for an anxiety/OCD sufferer. Are there some people who are so tragically stuck, so hopeless, where they might need some time off work, maybe work on the hierarchy of fears? Yes, but not in the way that social media has it. You need time off work. You need to unwind. You need to relax. No. When you're like, I need to take time off work, I need to relax, you're telling yourself that you can't stand the way you're feeling. And this does the exact opposite of what you want. I know it's hard to hear that. Number 4, you're still seeking reassurance. As I always say, OCD and anxiety-based sufferers are excellent at seeking reassurance from doctors, from family members, from loved ones, from strangers in the street, on people on forums. Listen, I know how it works. sometimes we kind of target people who don't really understand OCD, which is the vast majority, to give us what we want. Crap, I hear it all the time coming from coaches, therapists, and people alike that work in the OCD and anxiety-based community. Oh, you're not your thoughts. You're the least likely person to do that. And I speak to someone who's been having this for 6 years. And I say, have you made any improvements? And they say no. And I say, well, what has the person working with you been telling you? Again, not an easy disorder to understand, not anyone's fault. Well, they're telling me I'm a good person. Maybe they have harm OCD. Well, they're actually giving you reassurance, and this is why you're more than likely stuck with a plethora of other reasons. Number 5, you want it gone right now. Totally understandable. Kirsty said it best in a video like 3-4 months ago. Humans don't like suffering, but great hardships and suffering can teach you amazing lessons. OCD itself has no benefit, no matter what you hear. The recovery journey can be super transformative, can teach you a lot of things about building your low frustration tolerance, seeing the world in a stoic/rational outlook. So it's super cool. But the more you want it gone, the more you try to fight it. Paul David said it best in his book on the reading list, book number 5, At Last a Life. If fighting worked, then you'd be recovered. You're never going to meet anyone with a chronic anxiety disorder, GAD, panic disorder, OCD, any of the other anxiety-based disorders that told you, I reached full recovery by fighting it off. More than likely not going to happen because it's not possible. If it was, we'd all fight it off, push away our negative thoughts, ignore them, and go on our way. Number 6, you're doing the minimal. Got to be serious. This video is pretty blunt, but it's super important. You got to put the work in. I'm talking the books on the reading list, breaking down the fears, doing your exposures, working with someone that understands OCD. It is extremely important to work with someone who understands OCD not because they're malicious, but this person might be giving you reassurance, telling you you're a good person, telling you thoughts is the only way to get better, telling you exposures can't become compulsive. That's a major mistake. So it's important to work with someone that understands what they're doing. There are people out there, and you got to put the work in. You don't have to make OCD recovery the only priority in your life because that's not good either, but it has to be a priority in your life. I've met too many people that are like, I've done 20%, 10 years go by and they haven't really gotten any better. So it's important. You got to put the work in. There's no other way around it. All right. That's how you got to get to the place you want to be. Number 7, you're still performing compulsions. Compulsions are weird. We know why we do it, right? We feel discomfort. We do a compulsion, makes us feel a little bit better. It's like that short-term relief, but we kind of just stay in the cycle forever with many other reasons. We bring down those large compulsive behaviors, but we never actually bring down the small compulsive behaviors that really tend to keep us stuck. We hear stuff like, that's not really a big deal, but it kind of is. I know this for myself. Only until recently, almost 2 years into my journey, did I realize that some of these little behaviors I was still doing were still keeping me kind of stuck. So I cut them off and got a pretty big hit of anxiety now for 4 or 5 weeks, which is totally understandable. Don't have to reach out and get like, I'm freaking out. But it's something to understand because we have these little behaviors and they're so subtle that unless you're really honest with yourself, or maybe you're working with someone who truly understands OCD and they kind of see between the lines, it's hard to bring them down at times. I remember moments at one time, sometimes it took him like a year to even realize what all of his compulsions are. So even those small compulsive behaviors, those small reassurance behaviors you're doing are enough to not get you to the place that you want to go. Number 8, this is probably the most important one on here to me. You get better and you run. Now I'm going to say this flat out. You do not have to work with OCD in your life. You don't have to share your story. It does help because awareness is great with the internet. One of the great sides of the internet. I thank everyone who supports my videos, everyone I talk to in the WhatsApp groups and the webinars. I never thought I would be talking to someone. I just said the other day to my wife, I was like, I get to talk to Momin every day. He lives in Pakistan. Like that would never happen. But what happens is most people run because they're just like, I don't want to, just want to live my life now. What I see is people get scared. They get scared and they run because they don't want to develop a new theme. They don't want to get worse and they're afraid so-and-so is going to happen. But this is a pure door wide open for fear, which is totally understandable. I get why this is happening. But if you really want to, close that door on fear for the rest of your life, again, you can leave. Never want to, you don't have to share your story, but accept that, you might It might rear its head from time to time because it is a disorder. Even when you reach full recovery, 99% of the time, you probably won't notice it, but it will rear its head here and there. And then on top of that, people will probably still make OCD jokes. People will probably still make mental health jokes. Just the other day, I heard someone say, "Oh, the weather is so bipolar." That didn't make me upset. Those words couldn't hurt my feelings, even if I don't have bipolar. But the amount of people that tell me, they have OCD, and they don't have OCD, but they think they do. So, we can't blame other people, we're going to talk about that in number 10. Number 9, you're trying to bolt down acceptance. Can't happen. I wish you could read the books and bolt it down. Insight is not enough. If you go to every single person right now, and again, we're not judging someone good or bad for smoking. We're just saying the act of smoking is not good for you. Just like the act of being heavily overweight is more than likely not good in your metabolic system. A lot of people don't like hearing that. We're not saying we don't accept you unconditionally or you can't accept yourself, but we can't dilute reality about what's healthy and what isn't. So let's use smoking for an example because it's very important to cover this. Everyone that smokes knows that smoking usually causes cancer and is not good for you. Causes pulmonary problems, causes cardiac problems, causes cancer, secondhand smoke, all sorts of fun stuff. So, but insight's not enough. They know. You're not meeting someone who's 7 years old that's going, smoke, this is bad for me? No, they know, they understand. But the behavioral changes and breaking down the fears is very important too. So you can't bolt down acceptance. Insight's not enough. You kind of have to go with balance. Allow it to be there. Create some distance with the discomfort. You can do it whilst working on your fear and living your life next to OCD recovery when you bring it for the ride. Number 10, people are allowed to make OCD jokes. They're allowed to do it. Those OCD jokes can't physically hurt us. They're not chains. They're not locking us down. They may hurt our feelings a little bit, especially when we have no tools. Trust me, I would get a little resentful towards people in the beginning, but I worked on my fear and I would think, if I never had OCD, ever, I never had it, would I actually notice it? Would I actually know what it is? No. The answer is no. It's like being blind. We can only imagine what it's like to be blind. We can only imagine what Stevie Wonder goes through. But, we can't be like, oh, I absolutely know what it's like to be blind. You can sympathize. But sometimes the experience of something is the number one learning lesson in life. Let's be real here. Experiencing something is almost always the number one way to learn. It just is the way it is. Business, right? You can imagine what it's like to own a business, all the complexities. Then when you start your own business and you realize all the other problems, HR, hiring, working a lot, uncertainty, unknown, is my business going to go under? You can't really conceptualize that until you're in it. This is very common with anxiety-based disorders. This turns the heat up in the anxiety-based community a lot because there's people out there that might not have ever experienced OCD, a lot of them, and they offer great help. They really do. I know people, I've had conversations with people who help people with OCD, and it's amazing. Great insight. But sometimes it's also good to have the experience as well. But we can't hold it against people if they don't understand OCD. Right now, 2022, we don't need anyone else to understand OCD. We know what it takes to get better. Uncertainty, exposures when needed, balance, time and patience and dedication, unconditional self-life, other acceptance, ups and downs, doubts and backdoor spikes. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit longer than I've been doing lately. We've been trying to stay in that 5 to 8 range, but I wanted to go a little bit longer on this one because it's an important topic. And yeah, let me know. Go through the video, maybe go back and think, again, I don't agree with that. We're not going to agree on everything. Totally fine. We're not meant to. I'm not right on everything all the time. I've changed my mind. Mindfulness is a great example. I was so gung-ho against mindfulness. Now I realize, I really did use mindfulness in my journey to create some distance, but I still need to work on unconditional life acceptance in order for sensory motor to unlatch the way it did. Some people with mild OCD might be able to just go with uncertainty and mindfulness and make great progress. But mindfulness can become compulsive. I've totally changed my mind on mindfulness, and I have to realize I was wrong. And I was being pretty conditional against other people that really enjoy mindfulness. You can always be wrong. It's always good to learn. This whole process is a learning journey. It's going to be here while we're working on it, so we might as well try to accept its presence while we get better. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.